Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the P-LotPodcast. John here, joined once again by the main man himself, Michael Angelillo. Michael, how we doing, King? How we feeling?
Listen, we got a big game today. Big test today. It is Sunday morning of NFL
I mean,
week
the
number
Eagles' schedule
11.
is so hard, bro. It feels like every freaking week is some sort of test.
Absolutely. But, this one feels a little different, I think, just in light of how the team has kind of looked, especially and almost exclusively offensively, how they have looked and how that's not been pretty. Um, they're winning games because they win the turnover battle and they score touchdowns when they get in the red zone and they still hit their explosives. But every other aspect of offense that you can imagine is pretty putrid. Um, Lead the league in three and outs, the highest three and out percentage since 2014 of any offense. We keep, harping on that point. I saw some other ugly stats. They're like 24th in or 28th in time of possession and in yards per game. They're like 25th in yards per drive, 30th in some like it just a lot of bad offensive stats that usually equates to not a good offense. And for the most part, this offense really hasn't been that good. Um, but the Eagles are still winning games, so the coaching staff doesn't seem super keen on switching things up at the moment. And you know,
Well, I
play with
would
fire, you
say,
might get burned.
honestly, I forgot to touch on this point when we did the show, the midweek show, was that the buy, in a sense, for their, like, I would say long term, it came at the right time when it comes to health, getting guys healthy.
Sure.
It really came in at a bad time in terms of building offensive rhythm. So last year, the Eagles went into their bye after basically sending their taxi squad out to play the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay.
It's definitely
They
three
get
straight weeks
demolished.
or
They get
years. I mean,
demolished, and then
yeah,
it was like they started to implement changes. Yeah, and it took a few weeks for us to actually see those changes. The Eagles were coming off probably two of their like their best 2 week stretch of offense, like all season. Right, you played the Vikings in Minnesota, one of the best defenses in the NFL. Say what you want about Carson and his
yeah, but
turnovers in
Jalen, I
that game.
mean, the offense is the story there. Jalen had a perfect passer rating. Like he was awesome. They threw the ball a lot, and both receivers went for over 100 yards. Like,
Brian Flores,
I,
who's a likely to get another head coaching job, whether it be it in the NFL or even college.
yeah,
Like
he's
there's
a
so
elite DC, that's for sure.
right.
And
Well, he is a top five, probably top three defensive coordinator and potential head coach. Right, and then you had the Giants, and you didn't have AJ in that game, and he scored 38 points. Um, Jake Elliott misses a field goal. There were points left on the field, so you could have hung a 40 burger on the Giants. You know, and then you go and have the bye, and
yeah,
then
no, I hear
and
you.
then
The
you
bye,
come out slow again against a team that you've beaten a lot recently. That's looking for revenge, and you find a way to win that game. But offensively, okay, let's say Micah doesn't stick his leg out and trip Saquon, you win 17-7. Still was not a good offensive game. So
no,
yeah,
I mean we're 3 straight years now of the Eagles playing like pretty garbage out of the bye. They beat the Chiefs in that ugly Monday night game in 2023. They beat the Browns barely in a very ugly home win out of the bye last year, and then obviously this year, very ugly win that you almost choked away at the end of the Green Bay Packers. And I'm not mad that they come out slow after the bye or whatever. It's just like they just go into their turtle shell. They took the head coach, coaching staff, whatever. They took the wrong lessons from 2023. Uh, John, I think you might have froze up a little bit. Um, but I will continue to talk because I do think that I am actually okay at the moment. Yeah. So, oh, you good? You back? Okay, cool. So, 2023, Jalen Hurts led the league in turnovers. However, he actually had a lower turnover he had like a bottom 10 turnover worthy play rate, meaning like good side of it, like seventh least. And last year he actually had a higher turnover worthy play rate than he did in 2023. Crazy, right? I think the lesson from 2023 shouldn't have solely been, "Well, we won the turnover battle, we're gonna win every game we play." It's like, you play super conservatively and super nervously. They call games on offense like their team sucks. That's the problem. They call games as if they don't have 2 all-pro caliber receivers and a quarterback that has an all-pro and a Super Bowl MVP and one of the best running backs in the league, and when healthy, a really good offensive line, and you have a great receiving tight end too. They act like they're, you know, an offense that's poised to finish top 5 in the draft, and calling games that scared is just gonna, like, are you only planning on opening up everything and unlocking everything when you're down? When it's like the Rams game and it's like, "Okay, we're losing by multiple possessions here. We kinda gotta get things going and start airing it out." I think we both thought, I think we all thought that the Rams game was gonna be the wake-up call of like, "Hey, if we can throw early and be aggressive early, we might not need to worry about getting down in games and sweating everything out because our defense is so good that we can just beat teams pretty badly." I mean, everyone's on AJ Brown for criticizing it. He is far from the only person that has publicly complained about the way the Eagles go about offense. Jalen Hurts to Pam Oliver after the Rams game saying, "We completely did that to ourselves in the first half. We have to get out of our mindset playing not to lose. We need to be aggressive and play our game." Lane Johnson said the same thing. "We gotta be less predictable, and we gotta do what we wanna do." Devonta Smith, "Just throw the effing ball." They all want to do what they have to do to be good and play to their strengths instead of letting the defense dictate what they should be doing on a down to down basis. That's the biggest thing. They're acting like, because the defense brackets AJ Brown, well, we just can't really get him the ball. If we get a one-on-one look, that's when we'll look his way. But if he's getting clouded, we just got to take what we can get. And it's like, you don't have to do that. You can draw up plays to get him open. You can draw up plays to get him a one-on-one look. Oh, they're running a bunch of guys in the box, so we're gonna match them with heavy and hopefully, we can get a push, but you don't have good blocking tight ends, so you never get that push. It's frustrating. They coach this team like they're incapable on offense, and they just keep relying on their great defense to bail them out. And AJ said it too. We're gonna just keep putting band-aids on things until we lose, basically. Like, what's it gonna come to for them to realize they need to be a little more aggressive on offense? Is it gonna take them losing tonight on national TV in perhaps an embarrassing way to the Detroit Lions? Is that what it's going to take? I don't know. We'll see. But if this team really does want to repeat, I think that your philosophy of simply only protecting the football, winning the turnover battle, and that just equating to your wins is not going to lead to another Super Bowl. It's just not. You don't have enough steam on offense to keep up at the moment with the run game. It worked last year because you rushed for 2,000 yards. It's not going to work
Well,
this year.
yeah, I would say right now the team that there's two teams right now I think offensively in the NFL that have the right blend of like risk reward on offense. I would say the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams. Is there
Two of the
another
best offenses in the league right now.
is there another team I'm forgetting to throw in
I
there?
mean, like, not like in a little
Like the
different
49ers,
looking
Mac Jones wasn't their quarterback.
in a
Like, I
different
don't
looking
know.
way, like the Colts are doing it, but the Colts are doing it because they have the rushing attack that's very explosive, where when things aren't going their way, it's because Daniel Jones is being an idiot. It's less like Oh, bad play design, bad play call. It's more like, well, why is Daniel Jones holding the ball for so long, getting
Well, I have
stripped?
a take on the Steichen offense. So Jalen Hurts was basically a one-read QB when he played for Steichen for 2 years, where people who I know that are like film guys, they'll be like, Jalen's cooking, but like, he's still only making one read. Like, if teams figure that out, like, he's going to be in trouble,
It was
you
just
know.
better because those one reads were getting open. Like I'll so take that. Like Jalen has ascended as a quarterback since
That's, I
2022.
I think that's the thing. Well, that's good. Probably like Sykin's probably going to be like McVay, where like he's just going to want a better quarterback at some point. Like I
I
don't
mean,
know,
you saw it. The step up from Anthony Richardson to Daniel Jones has unlocked so much
like if
potential,
like
and
I don't
Daniel
know,
Jones is not bad.
like if like the Chargers become stupid, like even dumber than they are, and
Well,
are like, oh, we'll take 5 first-round pick. Or like I'm just throwing out a
no,
scenario.
I hear you. There's going to be better guys available that could potentially be an even further upgrade. You see what their offense has been now. But to wrap up, quick brief Eagles chat before we get into the picks. There's no reason to pretend like your talent can't be utilized, and they're like the only team to really sit back on their heels and let the defense dictate what they do. And that's super frustrating. As a fan, I'm sure that's why all the players are really frustrated too. That the defense gives a certain look and they just kind of throw their hands up like, well, I guess we got to do this now. And it's like, you can do whatever the hell you want to do. Why don't you try to run your offense no matter what the defense is giving you? You don't always have to just take what's there. You can go force the issue, be the aggressor, give them something to adjust for. It's a game of adjustments in football. We talk about that all the time. That you need to make a second
Yeah,
half adjustment, whatever.
and the Eagles front office slash ownership is very much pro player. So like the fact that Lurie and Roseman had a convo with AJ Brown, and the fact like people like are saying like you see like Diana Rossini, her like really bad. When I say bad reporting, I mean she's literally looking at social media and is trying to create a narrative where she doesn't have actual sources. Like if this was Jeff McClain writing about it, I would be far more concerned because Jeff McClain has sources in Novacare. Does
Yeah,
he
no,
tend?
I mean, Diana Rossini's
Does he
sources
tend?
were his
The
Instagram.
fact that Jeff McClain's not really talking about AJ Brown to me is like really telling of the situation in terms of how much like this one ESPN reporter who by the way has had a lot of questions about her journalistic integrity. By
No,
the
for
way,
sure. Like when she says her big source on AJ was like, oh, just look at his Instagram. And it's like, you know,
like
when
Josina
it's not coming
Anderson,
from Eagles writers, it makes you think
like
that
Josina Anderson, Ian Rappaport are way better, way more credible.
no, sure. And when it's not coming from the Eagles reporters, and it's not coming from McLean or whoever has maybe sources inside, it's it just shows that no one is really bothered by this whole AJ thing. And it's more likely than not that everyone agrees with him as opposed to them thinking he's some squeaky wheel. Like I think it's
Can I bring up? I want to throw a question your way, or I want to throw something your way, and I'm curious to see what your take is. So, like Kevin Patullo just does not design anything for AJ Brown. The Eagles play the Giants, and
we're seeing a bunch of
they're
Devonte Smith stuff.
yeah, they're just drawing stuff up as Devonte Smith as like the go to receiver. Jahan Dotson, gets open downfield. Jalen Hurts makes a really good throw. Really, Jahan Dotson, Moss is a practice squad cornerback for like you see what, and then obviously they get Dallas Goddard involved because Dallas Goddard and Devonte Smith are on pace to have career seasons. Whereas AJ Brown is basically this $38 million a year decoy. And if you're Kevin Patullo, like, why would you not? To me, it's like if Kevin Patullo was coaching like the 1987 San Francisco 49ers, he would be like not be using Jerry Rice as like the go-to guy.
Yeah,
It's mind-boggling.
it's very frustrating. I think a lot of it stems from their non-aggressive approach to offense, and it's non-aggressive so much that it it's restrictive, you know, it's Jalen might also be almost too coachable to a fault here, where it's seeped into his mind where he doesn't really take chances. He just doesn't, and I think that's a big coaching talking point where, you know, you don't turn the ball over, we win, and he tries not to turn the ball over, you know? Eh, sometimes there's tight windows where he can zip it in there with anticipation, and I've seen him do it, like, he made some really nice anticipation throws this year. I mean, I think of that double post touchdown to A.J. Brown, that was one of his best anticipation throws I've seen, and, you know, you just rarely see anything like that anymore. You're just not seeing it. You're just seeing a a bunch of just crap. I don't know, it's so frustrating
Also,
that all they gotta
I don't
do.
think the Eagles have built up the same amount of equity that the Chiefs have done, where we've seen the Chiefs do this as well, where their offense is very vanilla for several weeks, and then it's like December, and they just, flip a switch, and then it's like, oh, they're back, and then they just steamroll through all
I
their
mean, when
opponents.
you it's just they just have a
Because the
better
Eagles have
you
only done this one time. Well, once.
I mean, playing conservatively, like, I don't know, it only this only comes out when they don't dominate, you know? Last year, AJ made his comments about the passing game after the Panthers game, after they had barely beaten the Panthers, and honestly, should have lost to the Panthers. They didn't run the ball super effectively that day, and it took some breaks bouncing their way for them to steal a win. And granted, you know, things like that are gonna happen, but that's when AJ was like, "Listen, if we can't solely rely on the fact that we can run the ball for 180 yards a game, 200 yards a game, and, you know, call it a day. Because what are we gonna do when we don't?" And they didn't against Carolina, and they got lucky with the win. Fortunately, the following week against the Steelers, they saw a lot of man coverage, and they torched them through the air. Not being able to draw up open plays for zone coverage is super frustrating, and we're on, like,
I
year
think
4
I
of
will
this.
say this though. I think the NFL in overall right now has um a zone coverage problem. Like the Fangio defense right now has really limited offenses. I mean, when you have like, was it Mina Kimes that said this, or someone went on ESPN and was like, they need to ban too high shell. They need to ban
That
too
was,
high
like, Mel
target,
Kiper, yeah.
or
That
something
was
just idiotic.
yeah.
And the the issue is that teams just not every team has the the offensive talent to just, oh, they're running quarters, oh, just throw a deep pass. Well, I think this is a good way to
I mean, we
transition.
do, right?
Well, the Eagles do. That's where I think you're right.
It's
Speaking of teams that just don't have offensive talent to do that,
yeah,
I
let's
think
get
this is
into
a
the
great
picks.
time to transition into talking briefly about Thursday Night Football. Then we're gonna blast through these picks this week. So Thursday Night Football, Patriots Jets. Patriots backdoor cover.
Yeah.
Wow, because the Jets are bad, obviously, but the Jets fought. So the Jets fought in that game. So Patriots,
They
they're
just need to get out of there with a win, and it's exactly what they did. Dude, they are the favorites, almost not, like, super comfortably, but, like, there is a gap between them and the next team for the 1 seed, odds for the 1 seed in the AFC. So, New England, with their favorable schedule, um, you know, it's not the easiest thing in the world, but it is favorable quite, and their ability to just kinda keep winning and
Michael, you just cut
stacking
out.
these win Oh, sorry. Am I good? Hello, hello? Am I good?
You're good.
All right. So their ability to like stack these wins and stay healthy and also just kind of like they finally started using Travion Henderson, and it's crazy to think that there's a chance that Ramondre Stevenson is gonna just take his job in a couple weeks when he gets back, because while the rushing attack maybe isn't super efficient even with Henderson, he just has that explosive play ability where he hits a lot of home runs. He was it was even in the, Buccaneers game, he was only averaging 3 point something yards a carry, but then he hit the 2 long touchdown runs. It's like, well, there you go. That'll help. That'll boost everything out, and that'll bail everything out. And, he didn't have a long touchdown run against the Jets, but he had 3 touchdowns, and he definitely had some big long runs to help open some things up or, making a nice move after making a catch, on a check down. So, he is a great weapon that if the Patriots really wanna take advantage of, not having a like a favorable schedule and, you know, a down Bills year perhaps, and it looks like they're gonna win the AFC East and perhaps be the one seed in the AFC. If they really wanna capitalize on that and be a legitimate Super Bowl threat, I think a lot of offense needs to flow through Travion Henderson. Um, because while Drake May is fantastic, the receivers are definitely still limited, and there is certainly a path where they let you down because Mac Hollins gets 9 targets in a game, and, he's just while he's turned himself into a nice pro, he's still Mac Hollins, or, you know, Pop Douglas doesn't haul a ball in, or Stefon Diggs tweaks something because he's getting a little old. Like, there are legitimate concerns with the receiving weapons, but I think Travion Henderson is a guy that should definitely stick as if that passing game is, floundering a bit, he can break a long run and kinda bail things out. So they're in a great spot. Milton Williams did just go on IR, which is not great, but otherwise, Pats are
Yeah,
looking great.
Milton Williams. That was sad to see. I was a little upset. I was upset when I saw him get hurt
Yeah.
because he's finally like being like an every down D tackle. And a lot of people were questioning that signing. They were like, he's the most expensive signing in Patriots history, and he was not an everyday player. And like he's
Yeah.
been one of their key cogs on defense. And you saw when he got hurt in that game, it had an effect on the game. The Jets started to like kind of make the game close, and I think I look. I agree with you on Travion Henderson. It gives it dynamics to their offense. One thing about their offense, though, Michael, I don't that I want to point out in their passing game is Josh McDaniels. I am not a fan of Josh McDaniels at all, Michael. Michael, like they're running the Brady offense with Drake May, and I'm just gonna be just blunt. I don't think if they get the first seed and they get like the opening, like their second round game, and they got to play either Buffalo or like the Chiefs, they're not going to. If they play Buffalo, I think they can beat them in a close game. If they play Kansas City, they're not beating the Chiefs. I know that's not a hot take, but to
No.
me, this is the way I look at it. This is the way I perceive it is their offense. Like, if you're going to ask Drake May, who's basically only been really good for like 10 games, at that point in the playoffs, like probably like 14, 15 games, he's been good, to have to basically be Tom Brady in a Tom Brady type offense. An offense that limited his abilities, which we know for a fact, because when he left New England and left Josh McDaniels, when he was like 42 years old, 40, 41 years old, goes to Tampa, has a monster passing season with better weapons and in a Bruce Arians offense, which is more about aggressiveness, throwing it downfield,
Air raid style.
air
Yeah.
raid defense. He puts up monster numbers. We just spent you spent 10 minutes complaining about the Eagles offense with how they like operate things. How the hell are the Patriots going to win with worse weapons in a similar offense?
Yeah, the only, I guess, bailout there is that their weapons are worse, so it makes sense to be a little more conservative. But
Yeah, but
I think
Michael,
Drake May is just good enough to kinda
Drake
let him off
May.
the leash, and whatever happens, happens.
So here's where I think it's like, I don't know. I felt like I was when I was watching Drake May. I felt like I was watching him almost. I don't know your take. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to make it this make sense. What I'm about to say. I felt like I was watching him work out at the combine versus him like running a real offense, because he threw like they ran like a bazillion out routes, and he's just completing all of them really easy because he's got, top 5 NFL arm talent in terms of strength, accuracy, and placement, right? It's like they're trying to pick up yards and they're making it look difficult because it's like, look how great Drake May's arm is. Like it was almost like where I'm gonna call, like, Josh McDaniels, like, I'm gonna call plays so Chase Daniel has material on his stupid ass show to talk about for 2 hours.
Yeah,
As
no, I
opposed
listen,
to as opposed to, hey, what easy buttons can I press for us to pick up yards?
yeah. Yeah, I do think there's a path to some more
Where if they're gonna run that
easier.
against Kansas City, Steve Spagnuolo is gonna make Drake May look bad. Not because Drake May is like, oh, they don't play good teams. It's, I don't know. It does. If to me, it feels like they're gonna play Kansas City, I think, in the second round, and I think a lot of people are gonna. There's gonna be a massive hate watch. People are gonna want to hate because it's Kansas City, and then they're gonna beat them. That's just my take. But I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. No, you're fine. That's your that's your anti Josh McDaniels rant a little bit.
Yeah, he's
No, but
bad.
there's definitely validity there. It'll be interesting to see how
He's
they
Terry
look when the
Petula
games
with
get
like
bigger.
equity.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out against some better teams because while their schedule isn't like super difficult, they do play
The Ravens.
back-to-back games against the Bills and the Ravens. That'll be interesting to see. But I mean, leading up to that, Bengals, Giants, and then after
I
that,
mean,
Jets
Travion
again,
Henderson
Dolphins
might
again.
run for 300 yards total in those two games
Yeah,
combined.
so it'll be interesting. But we got some games to pick here. We have a game kicking off in a little over 30 minutes or so. We have a game in Spain. The Washington Commanders, um, led once again by Marcus Mariota, as Jaden Daniels is not playing.
Oh shit! That reminds me. I should put Marcus Mariota as my starting quarterback in fantasy.
Yeah, so Marcus
I'll probably do
Mariota
that
and
one
the
right now.
Commanders are taking on the Miami Dolphins out in Spain. This is a Dolphins home game technically. Um, no Terry again, no Daniels. It really can limit some sort of things. Dolphins are 2.5 point favorites. They're playing better, definitely, as of late. We talked about how their defense has gotten seemingly better as the year has gone on. They play against the run pretty well. It really it's tough to pick Washington, I think, even though you can imagine some frisky stuff. Like the Dolphins are really not to be super trusted.
No,
But
they're not.
Washington does feel like a dead team walking, and at the very least, if I could predict
Yeah.
something with confidence, it's that Devon Achane is gonna have a really big day. That's something I would feel comfortable predicting, that he could run all over this defense and could also get really active in the passing game against this defense. But other than that, I do think there are no absolutes in this game. Tua, you could get a bad Tua day, and it could keep this game close. You could have a bad Mariota day, and it can get real ugly for Washington. Or he can play well and get Debo involved. He's had a good year. Maybe finally get Ertz involved. He really hasn't had his best games with Mariota at quarterback versus with Daniels. So yeah, this could be an ugly one, but it feels like it could be ugly from both sides, and Achane kinda backpacks it. I'll take Miami minus 2.5.
I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna run with the push pull theory on this because I don't really trust the Dolphins. I
Sure.
don't. I mean, we just like a month ago we thought the Dolphins could have been the worst team in football,
Hmm.
and then all of it like now they have a home game against a hated rival. And let's just be honest, the Bills aren't the Bills. It's just a fact. Like the
Hmm.
Bills have not accepted the fact that the driving force of their offense is James Cook, and it's more like you know I I would not be surprised if the Bills if you're going to see some report where there's friction between Josh Allen and James Cook, where Josh Allen is audibling out of runs because he's trying to play hero ball and it's pissing people off in
Hmm.
Buffalo. I would not be surprised if that comes out. But back to this game, this is where I kind of feel like the Commanders could win. Is that they've just been so bad for so many weeks. Eventually, they're going to have to. It would be shocking if they just get their teeth kicked in again, and then they play the Eagles and get their teeth kicked in again. Because then you go from Dan Quinn being the coach of the year to now possibly being on the chopping block because of how much they've regressed. Even though like there's been the Jaden Daniels injury, like even last year when he was banged up, Marcus Mariota played pretty well. They didn't lose, like you know what I mean.
It's just it's just a bad roster. Like they just built out a bad team, and like they took risks. We talked about with throwing a lot of draft capital at like some older players. Debo
Laramie
and
Tunsil has
Laremy
been very good
Tunsil.
for them this year,
It's not that they're bad, but
and
it's like
Debo's
you
been solid
mortgage
as
a lot
well.
of
It's not
your
like those two
future.
moves have been bad.
No,
It's
but they are bad because like their contracts are not like Laramie Tunsil is a free agent next and after not next year, after the following year. So his cap hit takes a huge jump next year to 24.9 million, and then he is a free agent the following year. So he's not here for very long. I know Debo's contract is also not very long. He's only on a 1-year deal with the Commanders, making, you know, only a 5 million, but he's a free agent next year. My point is that they traded a lot of draft capital in a year that they're gonna be very bad and finish with good draft picks, and what they have to show for it are guys that are not on the team through Jaden Daniels' rookie contract even. So, I'm not really sure what their plan is. They, like, pushed all their chips in as if he
they're
was
going to have a
30.
lot of cap space entering next year.
I guess. I mean, they gotta pay the
Listen, I'm not
quarterback.
listen. I'm not trying to defend them per se, but
No,
like,
there's no defense. This was, like, an indefensibly stupid offseason.
no, I agree with you. No, their offseason was bad because like you go and make your free agent signings, and then you'd make a Debo trade, and then redo the contract.
No, I mean, the whole
They
point
did it
is
inverse. Like instead
take
of
advantage of your rookie deal quarterback by getting big money on the books to young or age prime players that are gonna be able to grow with your young quarterback. Very much what the Eagles did, and it's paid excellent dividends, and they're doing like they're trying to just win now for 2 years, but Jaden Daniels is super banged up, so this year's gone, it's already out the window. Next year, you don't feel too good about, and then you're gonna have to redo it again, and then before you know it, you're gonna have to give Daniels, like, 60 million a year, and then what's gonna happen? So, I don't know. It's a disaster. Next game, we have the Green Bay Packers on the road against the Giants. Packers losers of 2 straight. They finally lost to a good team in the Eagles on Monday night. Looking for a big bounce back spot against it's gonna be Jameis Winston, correct? He'll be the starter
that is
this
correct.
week. Yeah. It's tough, man. There's that interim head coach voodoo. After Brian Dable gets fired, is this a game where the Giants with Jameis and Mike Kafka as the interim head coach are gonna put a lot of pressure on the Packers and they're gonna threaten to potentially lose 3 in a row? Is that really gonna happen? It's
Mm,
hard to say. I feel like Matt LaFleur is gonna have to he's now coaching for his job as, like, those rumblings of them moving on from him or, like, he doesn't have an extension after this year. Those are very real, and I think the best way to quiet some of those rumors are to put together a strong offensive performance, and a lot of that with this team is by being aggressive and kinda airing it out a little bit, and not just trying to run the ball 35 times a game when although Jacobs is good, he's only averaging, like, 3.8 yards a carry. It's very hard to live and die by that, so I am expecting Green Bay to light up the scoreboard a little bit today. I'm gonna take the Packers -7.
I'm fading the new head coach voodoo as well. Um, we didn't get it with the Titans, right?
Uh, no, I don't think so.
Right,
Titans are just yeah.
right. And there's another. Who's the other interim coach besides the Giants and the Titans, or is it just those two?
No, yeah, there has been a 3rd coach fired. Yeah.
No, no, no. We thought it was going to be Mike McDaniel, but that didn't happen. That's not going to
No,
happen.
he seems to yeah.
No, that's not going to happen. I agree with you on. Here's why I feel like for Jameis it could be brutal. Is that the Packers pass rush is still potent. The Eagles were just really good at picking up blitzes. I'm going to say this though: the Packers are kind of a front running team, and by that I mean when they play like a bad team, they're going to look great. You know,
Mhm,
we're gonna look up Jordan Love cut ups. Oh, look at these great throws Jordan Love's making, etc. Right? It's when they play like mediocre teams to good teams is where they struggle. And
mhm.
the Packers have only scored 20 points combined their last 2 weeks. I can't. It would be very bad if they struggle again on offense against a Giants secondary that is banged up. Shane Bowen is a bad defensive coordinator. He is uh, bad
It's a
with
bad team.
capital
It's a bad
with a capital B. And listen, man, from what I've read, Brian Dable, like I outside looking in, I thought he was a clown. I know you like defended him vehemently in the past.
vehement well, I did because I very much
And then you
hope
hear
that Daniel
reports,
Jones
unnamed Giants players, when Theo Johnson dropped that wide open pass, he apparently screamed at Mike Kafka, blaming him for it.
yeah, no,
Like,
apparently it's a very toxic work environment, and
well, that's why Wink Martindale left. That's the
yeah,
thing.
they had yeah, so Dable the look on the sidelines of him being an asshole went further than just some sideline outbursts. He was apparently just always like that, and, like, if that's just him trying to be like Nick Saban, but you're in the NFL, that stuff doesn't usually work in the NFL. It just doesn't. You're talking to grown men and other, you know, grown people. It just doesn't, it doesn't play. So yeah, he might not get another head coaching job, or it's going to take some time. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to college, um, just to give him, something to do because I don't know if the NFL, all these stories, I don't think anyone's going to be running to add him to the staff, I'll be
Oh,
honest.
you mean Penn State's going to hire disgraced Giants head coach Brian
Well,
Dable?
yeah, that'd be funny. Next game up. This is perhaps one of the games of the early window. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in Buffalo to take on the Bills. Bills are 6-point favorites, which is a lot. Feels like too much to me, like just kind of off rip, but Bucky Irving is is he playing?
Bucky Irving hasn't played since the Eagle game.
Yeah, it has been season. Oh my god. Express some options, and hopefully we'll see if he can take a hit. Okay, so he's not playing. Jesus Christ, it's so annoying, these articles that make you get to halfway down the page to tell you if a player's playing or not. So he's not playing. It's hard for me to pick Tampa, man. I just think that, you know, they peaked in, like, early October, and everyone was super excited about them, but they started playing some better teams, and they started
Tur-
getting banged up,
Turns out
and
it's nobody likes playing in Tampa in September, and then unfortunately,
right.
the playoffs don't start in October in the NFL; they start in January. So
No, right.
they're
So Buffalo is about maybe as desperate as they can be at the moment. Talk about the definition of a must-win game. And granted, Tampa, if there are some strengths on that defense, a lot of it is the run D through Vita Vea being such a massive, humongous human that causes a lot of problems for teams running the ball. We know that the Bills' offensive success this year has flowed through James Cook and the running game, but it just feels like at home in a total desperate spot, need to win, need to look good. I think I'm gonna generally trust Josh Allen today and the Bills to just kinda take care of business and Tampa to just keep kinda chalking up the injury excuse because it is decently valid. I mean, Bucky Irving, it's such a different offense when he's
Tampa's
out there.
just been hurt every year since um, Todd Bowles has taken over as head coach. Like literally, it's
Feels
every
like since, like, Brady left, like, they just have been super injured.
and I'm starting to wonder. Like, if you're a Tampa fan, do you question like the medical staff? Or are you just questioning the GM for just drafting like injury prone players?
Well, you look at the guys that get hurt, it's like now Mike Evans is hurt, he's old, it's been about time for him to get hurt. Chris Godwin has always kinda had injuries, you know,
Yeah, but
Bucky's a little more.
Tez Johnson and Egbuka are like for rookies are really good in my opinion.
Yeah,
So
that's what's keeping them
that's
afloat, you
not
know?
really so much the issue where it's like Bucky Irving being hurt because Rashad White is like mid. He's an average running
He's a
back.
solid, like, in a
He's
you
a
know, in
good
a
number two running back because
in a
that's what he
committee
was
running back
last
in
year.
a committee backfield, he's pretty good, like, but he's not good as a top option.
Kate Otton's like
Fine.
solid.
They have a bunch of fine players, and when their really good players are not in,
But the issue
it
for Tampa to me
hurts.
is still their when you look at Tampa,
Quarterback.
one, they really don't have their edge rush hasn't been that good. Hassan Reddick only has 1.5 sacks, Michael. Like he looked like at the beginning of the season, we're like, oh man, he might
There's Hassan. No, yeah.
no, he's just been bad since like week basically since like the Eagle game where we were like dreading, you know, overload blitzes on the weak side. Hassan Reddick's gonna kill Jalen. He's gonna get revenge for the Eagles, setting him to the Jets and starting like a downward spiral on his career. No, he's just been bad. He's just a declining player. And
Right.
the and Tampa just really doesn't have anyone in their I guess their front four. I mean, Yaya Diaby is a solid player, but to me, like, I mean, 4 sacks on the season. I know it's not just sacks,
That's
Michael,
not bad. That's
but
pretty
to
good.
me, it's not bad too. But let's see, he finishes like 8 sacks. Like that's your only good edge is Yaya Diaby.
No, for sure. Like, there's just I don't know. There
Like when
Tampa.
they took Egbuka, I was like, first I was like, I thought Egbuka was going to be a great player, but when you looked at Tampa's team at the time, like this is before the Jalen McMillan like neck injury, you kind of thought, well, maybe they should have focused on like edge first round and then maybe receiver the second round or third round.
It's just more so like the team was never as good as I think everyone made them out to be, and this is more what they are, where they're, like, above average, and they can beat a good team on any given Sunday, but in terms of a consistent week to week product, they were never gonna win 13 games, like, and that's the way people were talking about them earlier in the season. That was just
And
never
I
gonna
think
happen.
Jason Licht is a good GM
Yeah, I
as
mean,
well.
there's a good amount of talent in there. They're just like, listen, the quarterback is limited, and when the weapons aren't healthy, it just makes things hard, and their defense isn't like this elite defense that can carry a team as much as it's just like they can make some plays. Again, they can go out and beat the Bills today, and it wouldn't be the most shocking thing in the world. but I just don't think they're not poised enough to, I think, be a legitimate contender.
I'm gonna
They
go
can
with
win a playoff game,
I'm
they're not
going
gonna
with the
win 3.
Bills as well because I do feel like to a certain extent, like there's jobs on the line in Buffalo. Like if the Bills somehow miss the playoffs, Sean McDermott's job is in jeopardy. I think,
I mean, he likely is canned if they miss the playoffs, yeah, he's gone.
Especially if the possibility of Kyle Shanahan and even LaFleur to a certain extent become available, then if you're Buffalo, like you're going to try to move on from McDermott as
Mhm,
just because like the move is you need to invest in Josh Allen. That's the move, right?
mhm,
Logically, you think that's what they would want to do, you know? And we bring in Kyle Shanahan, like we can make the offense even better. And then he might want to bring like his Robert Saleh with him to coach the
mhm.
defense. I don't know. Am I saying that's going to happen? Like I would put Kyle Shanahan staying in like the Niners like at like 90%, just because the Niners are kind of low key stupid and they could possibly let him go
Yeah,
because they're just inept in certain aspects. Anyway, we got to kind of blast through these picks, so let's
yeah,
just keep going.
yeah. Alright, so next game we have, in the 1 o'clock slot are the Cincinnati Bengals in Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers, who are 5.5-point favorites. That feels like a lot to me. I don't see I mean, the Steelers' defense is not good enough, although it's been a little bit better. It's just not good enough to keep these Bengals weapons. Like, Flacco just kinda slings that thing around, and they can put up points and put up yards in quick amounts of time, but that defense is also just so bad. I don't know.
You
To
can't
me,
see
this feels
Jalen
like a
Ramsey
close
like
game.
covering center field, possibly picking off an errant Joe Flacco pass.
Maybe, but I just think they can kinda kill them underneath and let their receivers make plays and then force Ramsey to come up and be aggressive, and then, that's when you hit him over the top. Like, there's a path here.
I mean, the
We
Bengal. I mean, let me ask you. So when we talk about the Bengals, their defense is like literally maybe like the worst of all time. Like there's
Sure.
right. No one really talks about how bad their offensive line is as well.
Well, because Flacco doesn't take as many sacks as Burrow does.
Uh oh. Oh. Uh
It's
oh.
and listen,
I see you. I see you smirking. Like oh.
Burrow self-admittedly doesn't mind taking sacks on, like, 3rd down, especially. Like, he said that. He's like, "Taking a 3rd down sack to me, I think is more worth it if I can, make a play sometimes." Not by necessarily escaping a sack like he's Lamar or anything, but, like, by just holding on to the ball, he trusts his arm to make a throw late in the progression downfield and doesn't mind taking a sack as the opposite of that, which, like, you know, in the regular season, the Bengals, that's kind of worked. He's had some great regular season numbers the last couple of years. They just have such a bad defense, it doesn't help. For Flacco, his old ass, he's not moving around back there. He doesn't want to take a bunch of hits, so he's getting the ball out quick as hell. He's getting rid of that thing. He doesn't want to get smacked around. So, you know, the offensive line doesn't look as brutal because he's not taking as many sacks, but it's still like
They're still scoring lots of
not
points.
to
The
call it
defense
like a
is like
fantasy
literally. I
thing,
don't
but,
know.
like,
Like
Chase Brown was, like, a top round, second round draft pick in everyone's fantasy leagues, and, like, just having a terrible season in terms of efficiency and all this sort of stuff because the offensive line is not good. They're not able to really move the ball. I am taking Cincinnati plus 5.5. I just think the Steelers maybe aren't good enough to lay 5.5 against almost anybody, let alone a division opponent. Like, I could see the Steelers winning, it feels like a split this year between those 2 teams, but I think it's gonna be another tight one. So give me Cincinnati to cover.
I'm gonna check something real quick here. I'm gonna see Joe Burrow versus Steelers defense. Do I even bother looking up Joe Flacco versus Steelers defense on StatMuse?
I mean, it's gonna give you just such a outdated, like, what does it matter what he
Like
did
Joe
in
Burrow's thrown 10
2014?
interceptions against the Steelers defense in his career,
My
right?
point is, what difference does it make what Flacco was doing 10 years ago
Well,
against
keep in mind too,
totally different team?
there is.
Like,
Here's the thing: I'm taking the Steelers. I'm going to tell you why. This is a rematch. Bengals, they beat Pittsburgh on Thursday Night Football. It was like everyone was picking the Steelers. I picked the Bengals. I'm gonna pat myself on the back. Got that one right, Mr. Thursday Night. I'm sorry, but like to me, I mean, you think like logically they'd split. You think the Bengals are gonna cover but not win?
yeah, like I just think this is like a close game, and
I
I don't
feel
think they
like
win by a touchdown.
Flacco has not had a dud yet against against like any opponent so far. And to be honest, like Michael, like if he would have a dud, it would be because he's just the
He had
Steelers.
a dud versus Green Bay, but they won back when he was in Cleveland. What a
Yeah,
terrible
like that
game that
doesn't
was.
count.
3.9 yards pass.
I'm taking the Steelers to cover.
All right. Yeah, with Cincinnati, he's thrown for 342 yards against the Steelers, 3 touchdowns, no picks. 223 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks against the Jets in that disaster. He also had a rushing touchdown that day. And then against the Bears in that also disaster loss, 470 yards and 4 touchdowns. So, yeah, pretty bizarre. Next game, the Texans Titans. Not a lot here. No CJ Stroud, so there is Davis Mills starting. Texans are still 5.5 point favorites. The Texans, dude, their defense is so good. Like you look at some of those advanced analytic things that are like, oh, who's actually the best team in the league, based on like things like point differential and strength of schedule. The Texans they have a higher point differential than a lot of good teams in the AFC. A lot of the class of the AFC, they're like third in point differential. So their defense is legit. They hold good offenses down pretty frequently. And, it's just a matter of if their offense can get off the ground and give you something. And while their defense struggled in the first half against Jacksonville, it turned it on to a totally new level, and Davis Mills started cooking, and they stole that game. So against the Titans here, Titans coming off a bye, uh, they're just kind of like going through the motions at this point. They're not very good, and I don't think this is a very nice matchup for Cam Ward at all. I'm going to take
No, it's
Houston
not.
minus 5.5.
I mean, this is kind of my take on this game. I feel like this is going to be a very low scoring game. The question is low scoring enough where the Texans can cover
Right.
5.5 points. Because, Michael, this is Davis Mills on the road laying 5.5 points. Michael, the Titans just might be in
I
the
mean, how many people do you think are going to be at this
Michael,
game?
in the 17 since we switched to 17 games in 2021, the Titans might be like the worst team ever in the 17 game era, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to go with the Texans, but I am kind of don't want to stay away from this game because we always have
Yeah.
a couple upsets every week. I could honestly see and the Texans almost stole a game from the Chargers where DK ran a punt back for a touchdown. Herbert was it a pick six or was it a thick
Oh,
six?
the Titans, you mean? No, no, yeah, I hear you. Yeah, we'll see. Next game up, we have Bears Vikings. This is a good one. The Vikings are 3-point favorites at home. I gotta throw my hands up, man. I
Wow.
don't think I don't think JJ McCarthy, even against a terrible Bears
You don't even
defense,
call him 9 anymore. You just call him JJ McCarthy.
he's so bad. I don't know. If any
I
defense is
asked you this.
enough,
So I asked you the question: is Justin Fields worse than 9? You said yes. Now we
definitely.
saw. Now we saw a full Fields game. Would you still say he's worse than 9?
Yeah, definitely. He's the worst quarterback in the league. Yeah. I mean, McCarthy's not good, but like I don't know. He just makes more plays in a week that aren't just running with, the insane athleticism that Fields has. Like people showed that one he had a nice 12-yard run, but it's like he has Mason Taylor wide open, and it's like, if only he was better at keeping his eyes downfield once he escapes the pocket, he could really, like he could stick and be very annoying for teams to play against, but and granted, he can still create explosive plays with his legs, but when Fields gets out of there, he's getting out of there, and, you know, whatever. So, I'm gonna take the Bears +3 today against Minnesota. I think this is just a the Bears have an opportunity here that if they win, the Eagles win, the Bears are in first place in the NFC North, and that would be pretty crazy on November 16th. Um, their defense isn't great, but I think it's favorable to go against JJ McCarthy. Although I wouldn't be surprised if this is a huge Jefferson day because this is the first time you're getting frustration rumblings and things not sounding too good over there. Feels like this could be all right, we're giving him 15 targets and he's going to make plays and carry us. But I don't know. The Bears have just been kind of weird. I don't think it's fair for them to be 3-point underdogs in today's game. I thought Caleb's played
The New
well.
England Patriots trade 2 first-round picks to Minnesota to acquire Justin Jefferson.
That would be something. Um, so yeah, give me the Bears today in what's probably going to be a pretty tough, ugly one. So I'll take Chicago.
This Bears team just isn't very good on the road.
John's riding with 9.
They're just not good on the road. I do feel like like, are we just gonna completely? I mean, 9 just sucking. Actually, the Bears blew a home game to this team, and then 9 was just bad for not 3 quarters. It was like 3 quarters and like 10 minutes. So for like 90% of the game, he was absolute trash. And then they
It's so
came back and
wonderful.
won because it's
Yeah.
the Bears. The Bears find ways to lose those games at home.
If there was ever a
And then
game
they
the
got
Bears
curb
could choke.
stomped by the Lions, which, look, shocker. The Lions love running the score up. Wow,
Yeah.
that's breaking news. Man, I don't, dude. I'm going with the Bears again with caution
Mm. Yeah,
because
this is definitely proceeding with caution.
because to your point too, Justin Jefferson. It's not like they're not trying to get. This isn't an AJ Brown thing where they just don't even attempt to get Justin Jefferson the ball. This is like they're throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson. It's just that 9 is so bad that he can't get him the ball.
Yeah, and he had some bad moments too where he looked a little disinterested, which wasn't good. But anyways, another NFC South slop fest here. The Carolina Panthers are in Atlanta to take on the Falcons. Falcons are 3.5-point favorites. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I'm taking the Falcons. The Panthers, they are just super inconsistent. As soon as you make you believe a little bit, they come back down to earth, look like hot garbage. Losing to the Saints, that was so obvious after that Packer win. And I know ebbs and flows, and maybe they'll ebb back up again, but
No,
I have a hard
this is
time believing
definitely
Atlanta
this is
gets swept by
definitely
Carolina.
ebbing into the flow of Atlanta to like con people into thinking that
They're
they
going
have
to
an
lose every
absolute
game ever.
good offense. Like they might drop like 49 points.
Listen, last time these two teams played, Carolina won 30-0. So it's not
That's my
like,
point.
yeah, like it feels like a split, and it just feels like Atlanta's due for some positive luck to go their kind of way too. So I'll take the Falcons minus a field
I'm
goal and
taking
a
the
half.
Falcons in this as well. I'm going to be really angry if I see Tyler Algier vulturing more touchdowns from Bijan.
I don't think he will this week because he did last week when his odds were like plus 380, but now his odds are like plus 195. So he's not getting in that end zone, man. Next game up, we have the Los Angeles Chargers in Jacksonville to take on the Jags. Brian Thomas Jr. is not playing today, so the offensive weapons are looking like Jacoby Myers and Parker Washington. So that's not super inspiring. The Jags, the effing Jags, man, what is wrong with them? Everything on a silver platter. Liam Cohen looks pissed off every week. Feels like Trevor Lawrence's shelf life is very much dimming as we speak.
So, like, who are they going to bring in to replace him?
Maybe Kyler, just to get
Uh,
someone. It's probably about the same, but it's something different. I don't know. We'll see. There's It just feels like he's gonna wanna pick his own quarterback, and whether that means be super aggressive in a trade at the draft or if that
why they
means
don't have
I
a
don't
first
know.
round pick?
Listen, man, they're gonna have to figure it out because I they just look so frustrated with him in a way where it's like, "I don't want this guy anymore." But we'll see. This is a tough game here because the Chargers, they did not look good against the Steelers on Sunday night in their
No, they
victory.
didn't, and we
They
know
did
why.
not.
We know why because of the
The Joe Alt theory, no Joe Alt, it doesn't
Michael.
look
It's
so
not
good.
Michael. It's not a theory anymore. It's a fact.
Yeah, it is a fact.
It's a
Joe Alt,
fact.
I mean, him being
Even
out
those
for the
like even those late. Remember those early? Do you remember those like Carson when the Eagles like when they were missing Lane? I
No,
think
it's yeah, we talked about the Lane Johnson thing.
They beat the Vikings and it was like a slop fest. It
It
was
was so yeah, yeah. We're what's his name through 5 picks, but they still almost lost.
that's my point.
Yeah, no, it was bad. I I think I'm gonna go with Jacksonville plus the 3. I think everyone's out on the Jags. Everyone's jumping ship, but I just for whatever reason, with no Joe Alt, I feel like the Jags are just gonna somehow grind and gritty their way and stumble into some fake ass win that is what you kinda need if you're gonna be the 2019 Eagles, you know? You need some garbage to go your way, and they had it against the Chiefs, they had some other garbage go their way.
Yeah, you know what? That like Davis Mills comeback felt a lot like the Dolphin game that we lost.
Sure, it's like it's losing a game that makes you really can't fathom and question everything, but if you find a way to you know, some win a game at home like this could make it
I'm
almost
taking the
hammers.
Jags as well. I think it would be kind of hilarious if it's like their best offensive game because Brian Thomas Jr. like just wasn't playing.
It's
Like
really bizarre. I feel bad because why?
so
What
what you're
happened,
saying
man?
is because I have Jacoby Myers on my bench in fantasy. Like do I sit Zay Flowers against the Browns to start Jacoby Myers?
Save Flowers against the
I mean,
Browns.
I kind of have an embarrassment of
What's
so
that weather in Cleveland, dude? Is that gonna be gross?
windy.
Um, 22-mile-an-hour winds, mid-40s the whole game. To me, it doesn't sound like a super Zay Flowers. I don't know, man. That's such a you're doing good in fantasy. I wouldn't take my advice. I'm like a fringe playoff team at the moment. So I'll trust your judgment there. That we could talk about that down in the parking lot. But next game, what I think is the game of the week. Well, I guess we are the game of the week, but this could arguably be a better game. The Seattle Seahawks are taking on the Rams in LA in you know, this is a big strong foothold. The winner of this game will have a big stronghold on the NFC West. These are two of the top teams in the NFC going at it within the same division. This will be the first of two times they play each other. Big spot for both these teams, absolutely. I try to think about when you have a matchup between two really good teams, it's easy. It's not easy, but I think the best way to go about it is you look at and you're like, okay, what is the worst group on the field out of both teams? What is the worst thing? And I think the answer to that question
The
is Los
secondary.
Angeles Rams secondary. I think that is what the worst position, what the worst group is out of both teams' offense and both teams' defense is the worst thing on the bottom of that list is the Rams secondary. And I think about the strengths of what the Seahawks bring, and it's their attack through the air. Their passing game has been awesome. I think they can exploit that bad Rams secondary and put up some points. Granted, to counteract that, they do have a great pass rush, and maybe they get Darnold uncomfortable. Maybe Darnold starts seeing ghosts. But Darnold's kind of ebbed and flowed himself. Good game, bad game, good game, bad, like really good game, and then like an okay game, whatever. He's coming off a not so great game against the Cardinals. Even though they blew him out, he did not particularly statistically have a great big day. Turnovers, whatever. I think he can cook up with something against this Rams D, and I think that the Rams, although Stafford can pick apart a lot of defenses, he has great stats against the blitz this year. I think the Seahawks pass rush and defense as a whole is built pretty nicely that they can get some pressure and maybe cause Stafford to misfire a little bit. We saw in the Eagle game that, Stafford threw that pick on the first drive or very early in the game, and then he missed some throws even though they were cooking us in the first half. He was still missing some open guys, and I think part of that, we hit him around and he got uncomfortable, and he wasn't picking us apart like he was early, and I think that the Seahawks defense, it'll be the first defense in a while that is gonna be able to get after Stafford. The Rams haven't played some great defenses recently, and granted, take care of your business, what you can do. Devontae Adams is gonna play, but he tweaked his oblique, and that's never too good. So I think I'm gonna go with Seattle +3 and definitely somewhat of a shootout, but I'm gonna take the Seahawks getting the points at least.
Yeah, this is a kind of a hard game to pick. For a couple reasons. One, Stafford and Darnold have both been cooking. I do
Mhm.
think both of them are due for a down game. So then I'm going to go this angle: is which team
If they
is
both
better
suck,
at running the ball?
the Los Angeles Rams are
That would
definitely
be the
better.
Los Angeles Rams. And what's a good way to mask a bad secondary? It's dominating time of possession, limiting the possessions of the Seahawks. I'm taking the Rams laying the points here. To me, this is a very interesting battle from the perspective of when teams are looking for their next head coach. First, it was like never hire defensive coordinators ever. That's dumb. It's a bad idea. Just get an offensive minded head coach. So
You
if
don't
you
have to
lose,
worry about it.
right. Well, there's no real foolproof plan in the NFL because if you think about if the Seahawks win, you're going to have people saying, you know what, they're just so much more disciplined, and you know what, they have such great weapons. Like it's going to be easy for them to find up and coming offensive minds because they're going to want to work with Sam Darnold and JSN,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
It
I
definitely
don't
they're
know.
gonna
But here's
make
the thing though
yeah.
too is that the Seahawks, for some reason, they're just not that great at running the ball, despite how great their passing attack is. Like teams are more
Yeah.
geared up to stop the passing attack than worrying about Zach Charbonnet, right?
No, him and Kenneth Walker, they're just the running attack is just not good, and they take advantage by running heavy personnels, and teams like, "Oh, we can keep stopping this run," and Darnold cooks out of it, play action game, he cooks, he really is good at it. I'm excited for this one. We're
I'm
gonna watch
taking the
big
Rams. I
this.
think I
Alright,
feel like honestly, which let me I feel like it's going to be a heavy Kyron Williams day. But man, it
alright.
would be brutal if they lose because Kyron Williams gets like 28 carries, but he fumbles like twice.
It's one of those rare days where in a game between 2 good teams, a lot of the percentage of the bets are on the spread, but the other like, Seattle +3, but those same people, a lot of them are taking the Rams on the money line. You had a 75-25 split on the
The
spread
Rams are
and a
probably the Super Bowl
64.
favorites right now, right?
Oh,
Can't be Indy.
well, I think the Chiefs might still be the favorite somehow. I'm not even kidding.
No, that's a good point. All
I
right.
mean, if you more yeah. Next game we have as the Dolphins are about
Is
to kick
Brock
off.
Purdy playing, or are we just is
Yeah, Brock
he?
Purdy is playing. The Niners, I think, are quite healthy today in comparison. But Purdy is going to be playing. He's going to be making his return, first game back in a while. I have a feeling I know
The
what you're gonna
Cardinals
do.
have the chance to do the funniest thing
Yeah,
ever.
I'm gonna take San Francisco. I do think the Cardinals are just not good. There feels like there's some dysfunction there. I think they preemptively put Kyler on IR of like, all right, we're benching him. Jacoby's playing great, and then obviously they got embarrassed by the Seahawks. just felt like a bit of a overreaction, especially like if you want to bench him, just bench him. You know what I'm saying? I don't think you need to do this whole rigmarole. He was like, "Oh, he might play. We have some packages built for him," and that's like the next day, up, he's on IR. So it's like, okay, what happened there? Um, yeah, the Cardinals, they have some issues. I don't. Yeah, the Niners. It feels like Shanahan should kinda open things up a little bit. I don't think you should stray too far away from what you were doing with Mac Jones because it was super efficient and moving the ball downfield, but I do think Shanahan does and should have a little more trust in Brock Purdy to open some things up a little bit and kinda get some of that explosive game back for them. So I am gonna take San Francisco laying the 3.5 on the road here.
I'm going with San Francisco. It does, to me. It does feel like it was a close game the last time these two teams matched up. The Cardinals barely lost.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, man, like the Niners just have nobody on defense because they're all hurt.
They're super banged up.
But like you look at the Cardinal offense, no Kyler, like no James Conner out for the season. Trey Benson still banged up.
Banged up. Yeah, no,
You
it's
know, they
it's
don't, for some reason, they just don't want to utilize Marvin Harrison Jr. at all.
yeah,
Like,
it's
it's
just
so
not good.
dumb. I agree. I'm taking the Niners.
Um, I can't believe this is a 4 o'clock game. The Ravens are in Cleveland to take on the Browns at 4:30. The Ravens are 7.5 point favorites. Not much to say here for me other than I think the Ravens keep rolling. I think each week their offense is getting a little bit more congealed again. I think, we talk about them potentially running the table, and I think this is a good opportunity to kind of keep that going against a pretty putrid Browns team. I know that there's been some issues with Cleveland at times in the past, in weird ways, but I think if the Ravens, they're a desperate team, and I think they're thriving off that desperation and all felt a nice boost from getting Lamar back. So I'm gonna ride with the Ravens, take them with the big spread on the road.
Yeah, I'm taking. I mean, obviously, I'm taking the Ravens as well. I mean, like you look at like the Ravens, like even last week against nine. Like I remember people were discrediting the Eagles. My buddy Gino was discrediting the Eagles win against the Vikings. Like, well, Carson was just bad. Well, like
He
nine
was
was worse.
bad, but
Well, like
yeah,
nine was worse, and like that's why the Ravens won. Like, so are we just gonna be like, the Ravens, the Ravens, the Ravens, the Ravens, the Ravens, Lamar, 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 and then whatever. Anyway,
yeah, both taking the Ravens there. Next
exactly.
game,
I mean, I'm kind of
yeah.
wondering at some, like I looked up Dylan Gabriel's numbers, like his counting stats are like not atrocious,
Yeah, but
but
he's horrible.
he's just like he just lacks talent. Like
Yeah,
that's
it's
just
it's not good. It's only a matter of time. Shador's like the official backup now, so I think it's only a
I think
matter of
we might.
time.
You know what? I think
We could see him. I think we keep saying this every week.
if they're losing 35-0 at halftime, which is most certainly on the table.
Yeah, yeah. Next game up.
Classic AFC
This is the
rivalry.
big test for Bo Nix.
Oh yeah. You know what? I looked because of my nine hate. I forgot that your gimmick this year is you
This
just
isn't a game.
that's the Michael's gimmick. I forgot.
The Chiefs are in Denver to take on the Broncos in a game that could very well be the deciding factor in the AFC West. The Broncos win, it could just be the dagger in the division, and you could wrap it up. If the Chiefs win, look out in Denver because I think there's going to be a lot of chatter around Bo Nix if he plays poorly, especially in a loss.
I would say it definitely is the dagger if the Broncos go 9-2 and the Chiefs fall to 5-5.
Sure,
I would
but
agree with that, but I still don't think if the Chiefs win, like the path is still difficult. They need a lot of help.
yeah, but I mean, if they're barely beating the Raiders and then he plays poorly again and they kind of get shellacked, It's gonna be ugly.
The Chiefs needed Aiden O'Connell to have a like aneurysm to beat him 2 years ago, and they won the Super Bowl. So I don't really,
Again,
I wouldn't.
is 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 you know Patrick Mahomes, Bo Nix? Like no,
No, no, but like my point's like, okay, we're gonna use that as no,
not for nothing.
no, no,
Like
no, no,
yes,
no,
every
no, no, no,
time
no,
I
no,
think
no,
every
no,
time someone
no,
brings
no,
up the
no, like
Chiefs
no,
in a way,
no, the talking point is gonna be the fact that Bo Nix is like that guy when he has a rib, he takes one bite and puts it down and leaves tons of meat on the bone. That's the dooming factor.
yeah, I mean,
The fact that Troy Franklin is as targeted as JSN and has 600 less yards than him should really tell you all you need to know about that Bronco offense. That Bo Nix just isn't good.
no, he's horrible, and you know, he really does hold back their ceiling. We're alluding to it. I'm taking Kansas City minus 4.5. I think this is the turning point. This is they were looking ahead to this game all year, all this sort of stuff. This is the biggest game, biggest spot, biggest situation. What are they going to do? What are they going to show? Are they going to be able to put the knife in this division? And you could wrap it up right here before Thanksgiving. And I think they're just going to keep that door open. They're going to leave it open, and the Chiefs roll, dude. Pat Surtain's not playing. Like he's out for a while. He's been out for a while now. Like Rasheed Rice is going to be able to cook like Riley Moss or whoever's guarding him. The Denver defense, while still great, when you remove Surtain from it, it can definitely get exposed a bit. And this is an opportunity for it to be exposed. And I think at the very least, Bo Nix is going to greatly struggle. And no, listen, no J.K. Dobbins. He was having a fantastic season. No Dobbins is a huge loss for them as well. So the Broncos are also banged up. Things are not going their way in the health department either. Um, I think the Chiefs they're in a much better situation entering this game. I'm taking Kansas City.
Well, keep in mind though too, Michael, the Chiefs also have some injuries as well. George Karlaftis is banged up, Pacheco banged up, Omenenu banged up.
Checo being banged up is so irrelevant.
I mean,
They run the ball 3 months.
Xavier Worthy's also banged up.
Yeah, that one hurts. That one
Like they're
hurts.
pretty banged up too. So I wouldn't necessarily lean a ton on the injury angle. I'm going with Denver, and I'm going to tell you why I'm taking Denver for a couple reasons. One, Patrick Mahomes just really struggles against that Fangio style defense, which the Broncos employ. They run the Fangio style defense,
They run a lot of man, I'd say. They
but
run a little more man than
but
Fangio.
Sean Payton tried to bring Vic Fangio back. He tried to pry him away from the Eagles before he basically told Sean Payton, like, listen, I've already committed to the Eagles, one, and then because I want to coach like near where my family lives, and two, like the Broncos fired me, so no, I don't want to work for them again.
I mean, this is a Vance Joseph-led defense. This is his own scheme. Listen, it's a lot of tight man. We know how much the Chiefs love their rub routes and their
Yeah, but
bunches,
what's one thing the Chiefs? I mean, like every quarterback when they get pressured, Mahomes. I don't know, like this, like the Broncos have built their team sort of to just how to beat the Chiefs. Does that mean they're gonna be successful in the AFC long term? Like, no, building your team to just beat one other team just kind of doesn't necessarily breed success, especially when you have to play like other teams. Like, I don't know, like we talked about how bad Bo Nix is. I mean, the Broncos literally are also 8-2. Like, granted, a lot of close wins. But Michael, like, look at Kansas City. Kansas City wins close games all the time. No one really like cares.
again, we got to stop using that because no one else is like the Chiefs. No one has the quarterback and head coach duo. That's like they are the
I'm
exception.
going to
They
go
are not the rule.
another angle in this as well. Last year, fledgling Bronco team loses to the Chiefs on a blocked field goal.
Yeah.
Sean Payton is just a psycho. Like, to me, like Sean Payton is definitely the type of dude who's going to get his team locked in for this game, and then when they play like the Raiders, it's like massive look ahead. We don't care. They
Listen,
blow. That's
maybe,
just his
maybe
MO. I'm just saying for
that's the
picking a
angle. I hear
game.
you.
I'm just saying, like, I'm just saying, I'm taking the Broncos in this
It's a
game.
lot of faith in Bo Nix, I have to say.
Well, no, Bo Nix has played like ass and they win. Like, but again, if
Yeah,
Patrick
against,
Mahomes,
like you said, against the
if
Raiders,
like, I think Mahomes is going to have a bad game, and that's why they win.
Yeah, I was gonna say
The
if
Chiefs
your
don't
prediction
win
is
when Patrick Mahomes plays poorly.
yeah, if your prediction's defense gonna show out and hold Mahomes down, then yeah, that's valid. Next game, we have Monday night, Cowboys Raiders. There's not much to talk about here. Two not great teams. One's far worse than the other, I
This is
guess.
such like a NFLshop.com game, like because they're like
Yeah,
the most popular
yeah.
teams.
I don't know what they were thinking with this game on Monday night. You could have picked some better looking ones.
You know what I call this? I call this the VHS game because you're going to
Yeah,
see so much VHS footage of these two teams. Like, oh my God, remember when Roger Staubach beat the Raiders on Monday Night Football in like 1975?
right, right. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I'm taking Dallas minus 3.5. It just feels like the Raiders, they're just not good, man. Like they're so dysfunctional. Gino being hurt and like definitely not being healthy enough to finish that game, but like forcing his way back into the game. Dude, Kenny Pickett might have orchestrated a game-winning drive. I'm not even kidding. But Gino forces himself back out there when he's just straight up injured, and it was ugly. They brought in this new regime of Pete Carroll and like Brady, and all it was supposed to do was like bring consistency and bring, discipline and a new era and a new culture. And it's the same old Raiders. If anything, it might be worse, the way it looks this year. So it's about as ugly as it can get. It's one of the most dysfunctional looking teams on the season. Um, yeah, I'm taking Dallas minus 3.5.
I am taking Dallas minus 3.5 as well, even though they got kind of shellacked by the Cardinals in a certain way. Like they just were never in that game at all. I mean, Michael, this is the Cowboys' MO. Listen, like the Raiders just really don't present a much of a threat offensively, where the Cowboys' putrid defense is gonna like not be the reason they lose.
Yeah.
And listen, man, I'll say this: I think the Cowboys should run their passing attack through George Pickens because CeeDee Lamb right now either just not interested in being on the Cowboys, he's not healthy, and it's like they were scoring so many points with George Pickens where like now they kind of focus more on Lamb. It's like he gets sort of lost. Like I feel like I don't
I
know.
mean, I think we're going too into what the Cowboys should do on offense. They're just not good. Like, I think they can kind of do whatever they want on tomorrow, and they'll probably be fine. It's You got two great receivers. You got to use both of them. I think you know you were cooking earlier in the season. I think you got to get your running attack back on track because that really helped open things up a little bit. But yeah, we're both taking Dallas there. So to wrap up quickly, we have Sunday Night Football, Eagles Lions. The NFC championship that never was, all that stupid garbage. The Lions are super banged up, and the health is absolutely in the Eagles' favor with no Kirby Joseph, no Sam Laporta, no Terrion Arnold. They're banged up, and there's other guys that are also going to miss. I think Davenport's going to miss, right? They are very very injured. And you think about the storylines of this game and how much I complained about the offense and how much I am generally worried about the offense. I'm not really worried about the defense. I think that they have defensive backs built really nicely to cover their receivers. I think Cooper DeJean can hold his own and do well against Amon-Ra St. Brown inside. And I think that Quinion can do a nice job on Jameson Williams. And Jared Goff has just historically played very, very bad against Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio-led defenses. The infamous 2018 game in Chicago where he threw 4 picks in that ugly loss there. My mind is telling me the Eagles defense gets after Goff, makes him super uncomfortable, and keeps the Lions to a lower
The weakness
scoring
of the
game.
Lions' offense is the interior of their offensive line. Everyone's been talking about that. It's
Yeah,
why
I mean,
they
the
have
strength of the one of the biggest strengths of the Eagles' defense is their interior defensive line.
well, no,
So
the biggest strength of their defense is the middle of their defense. When you like not just like include
linebackers too.
Zach
Yes,
Bond
yes.
and Nakobe Dean. The Eagles' defense when Nakobe Dean was out, they were giving up 4.8 yards per carry. With Dean back, they're now giving up 3.6 or 3.8, which is a
Yeah,
huge difference because that 1 yard is they were giving up a lot of like drives where it was like a death by 1,000 cuts where
yeah.
they would give up that extra yard in key situations. You're seeing with Nakobe Dean, like, I'm not saying he's like Mike Singletary or Brian Urlacher, but he's just like he's just so good against the run where Jahad Campbell's still like learning that position where it's good for him to just kind
Yeah, I mean, like, Campbell, I'm excited for in the future. I don't think they're keeping Dean long term, like, definitely doesn't feel like they are. He's gonna get a nice payday, all that sort of stuff. They're trying to keep him at edge a little bit so they can just have him on the field because he is a nice player to have on the field, but it does feel like he gets a bit overmatched out there at times, especially when it comes to setting the edge in the run game. Um, I do still think he's great in coverage and probably a little bit better than Dean in coverage, and
I agree with that
they
wholeheartedly.
gotta find that balance in rotating those 2 guys in there, but
Yeah,
like
but
you
it's like
said,
third, you saw against the Packers, 3rd and 12, Jahad Campbell's out there in coverage because they know they're
yeah,
not going to run the ball.
no, sure, and, like, and we both know it, like, maybe we see some more base defense, I mean, I don't know, you can't hear it, but, like, the wind is crazy today, it's gonna be swirling during the game too, so complain a lot about the passing game on offense, we just might not see a lot because of the wind, whatever,
The
but I
wind's
do
supposed to
think
die down later in the day, though.
I would
If this
love
was a
that.
1 o'clock game, yes, it would be very bad.
Okay, I hope so, man, because, it's gonna be tough to sit out there in the cold
Tailgate's
for
going to be a little brutal to start, but then it's supposed to get
yeah, it
better from
should
what
s
I heard.
even out, yeah, but regardless, I do think the Eagles' defense is poised to handle this Lions offense to some respect. Difference will be can they take advantage of a banged up Lions defense and move the ball on them in any way. I don't know how or what they're going to try to do. I guess maybe they start throwing it early and try to get everyone off their back, or they're going to keep trying to force feed the run game and hope that it eventually just magically starts working. But I don't know. We will be seeing. I am taking the Eagles -2.5. I'm not trusting Goff in a big game. I'm not trusting Goff on the road here. I'm not trusting Goff against the Vic Fangio defense, and I think that honestly will be enough to get a win. Kind of regardless, I could see this going a lot of ways. I could see this Eagles trying to shut us up, and AJ goes crazy, and the passing game as a whole goes really well, and they put up a lot of points, and maybe the Lions have a little more success on offense than I had anticipated, and the Eagles win like 31 to 27, something like that. And it's like, okay, you feel good about the offense. Or I could see this being a low scoring, sloppy, ugly, defensive kind of battle, and the Eagles just tend to win these sort of games more than they don't. And the Eagles win like 23-20, something like that. So I do think they managed to get a win. There are some whisperings of this game being very ugly for the Eagles and them losing, but I am going to trust them to kind of keep their winning ways going, even if it doesn't look super good. And their need to fix it will come later, I guess, as opposed to right now. So give me Philadelphia -2.5.
I'm going with the Eagles as well. I do feel like I don't know.
Pleasantly surprised.
I follow Elliott Shore Parks as well.
Yeah.
It feels like if the Eagles score like 31 points, if it's like 31-17, Elliott's big thing is he thinks that Kevin Patullo is going to be a head coach. As absurd as
It's
that
so funny,
sounds,
dude.
I do kind of agree with him when you have like just really dysfunctional teams that would literally hire someone because it's the Eagles and they want to like, oh, Kevin Patullo's worked with Sirianni for like 5, 6 years. He can bring that
I
to
mean,
our
it's gotta look good. They won't hire him if it doesn't look good. Like, the offense needs to look better. He's not getting a job otherwise. We
if
saw
we are
Brian Johnson, he didn't get a head coaching job, but he got a quarterback's coaching job, you know?
do you hear me knocking on my wooden table?
Yeah, I do.
If they do somehow, do the deed, I'm not going to say what it is, but I think you know what I'm talking about. Do it.
Yeah.
Uh, the Titans are going to hire him. They're dumb. They're a dumb team. They're dumb. We
Yeah.
think it's dumb, but guess what? Dumb teams do dumb things, and they like. Why is that inconceivable?
No, I listen, it'll take that. It'll take them going on a run
Like the
again.
Giants
I think.
hired freaking Joe Judge to be a head coach. You mean to tell me
Well, I mean,
is an
again,
impossible thing?
yeah, that was very stupid. Well, yeah, we do, I guess, generally underestimate the dumbness. But anyways, both taking the Eagles there. We have a long, fun day ahead of us at the
Yes.
tailgate and eventually
What's
the
the score
game.
of this? That the
3-0 Miami.
wow.
It's early. Yeah. So,
I'm
all
gonna
right.
be I'm gonna be
It is
so pissed.
about
I'm gonna be so pissed if Bo Nix throws 4 touchdowns today because he is not starting for me in fantasy. Oh, the Commanders are in the red zone. They
there you
are
go.
at the Miami 9-yard line.
There you go. All right, everybody. That is our show, and we will catch you later in the week to break down week 11.
We'll break down these games. Take care, everybody.
We are part of the Fired Up Sports Network of shows. Please check out other Fired Up Sports Network podcasts like the P-Lot Pod, Water Cooler Talk, Bell Smashers, Philly Sports Love and Pain, Drunk on Broad, Beer Battered Sports, and the Fired Up Sports Show, which are available on all major podcasting hosting sites and social media. Also, check out Mark Ramos' Roundup on firedupsports.com, which breaks down the happenings going on with all your favorite local teams.